Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. The Miz cashed in his money in the bank and failed. Randy Orton killed a guy. I've been meaning to talk to you about that, Randy. You might want to lay low for a while. You're probably wanted for murder. And we got the underwhelming, inevitable return. The Omni Flair. I'm Mr. Davis, asking you to please give us a subscribe, super kick that thumbs up button, and enable notifications to always on for daily WWE news and review videos, like my review of TLC 2020 right now, in about 10 minutes. As he doesn't have the New Day's cereal packets to hype him up for his matches anymore, Big E now just uses a big bowl of cocaine for his entrance. He teamed with Daniel Bryan, Chad Gable and Otis to take on King Corbin, Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro on the pre-show. The fun house show style opener was proof of how stacked SmackDown's mid-card is, which makes it even more exciting when Big E got the win, continuing his push towards Sami's Intercontinental title, which, going by the segments later on in this show, will parody the leaked Tom Cruise audio, as Sami is annoyed with Kayla Braxton for leaking his own rant. There's your awkward WWE pop culture reference of the week, because screw Tom Cruise for wanting to make a safe working environment during the pandemic. The idiot! After a genuinely lovely leukemia charity advert on a WWE network voiced over by Roman Reigns, "You're exposing the business, biggest heel in the company," the main card was opened by AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre in a TLC match, which AJ really had the advantage going in because Omos technically also counts as a ladder. The story of their match was in no way connected with their month's worth of build on TV, which had presented Styles as a comedy buffoon. Instead, the two had a really good match, approaching the stipulation from a far more psychological standpoint by working over Drew's leg, saving the bulk of the weapon spots for Reigns versus Owens later on. But despite some excellent calf crushers in both a ladder and a chair, Styles was thrown through a table outside, prompting another kind of spot: The Miz cash in. As WrestleVotes had tweeted just hours before the show, over the past day or so, the creative team was directed to come up with ideas for a Miz cash-in tonight on McIntyre. And according to a source, they all sucked. The issues creatively aren't exclusively on Vince. So thankfully, they went for one of the only ideas that didn't suck. Miz cashed in, but was taken out by Omos, setting up a dramatic three-way final 5 minutes, where WWE teased the threat of their own terrible booking. In the end though, Drew retained, and Miz now no longer has the briefcase. A double tick, while also having a really exciting match. This was followed by a really solid match between Sasha Banks and Carmella's latest act. I never thought WWE would be so allergic to the concept of managers where they'd actually bring in a sommelier character called Reginald. Sommelier Reginald. There's your adult content for you, USA Network. Adult content like mortgages and wine tasting courses. Reginald was the worst thing about this match, as his interference spots really should have been DQs, but everything else was really well done, particularly a tense submission battle at the end. Banks ultimately made Mella tap, meaning Carmella has been beaten twice while going for the title now. Hopefully she gets something substantial to do after this, as she came off like a star, and might be one of the only people who can make Vince's long-gestating hot blonde character work. The New Day and the Hurt Business had a match just as good as their encounters on Raw next, with one key difference: the Hurt Business won. The action was terrific, with Shelton Benjamin somehow going from laying down to standing in time to catch Kofi's boom drop for a powerbomb. But the star was Cedric Alexander, not just for his in-ring work, which is incredibly crisp, but his character work. He tagged himself in while Shelton had everything under control, usually the kiss of death for a heel tag team, but he just pinned Kingston with the lumbar check. WWE are actually pushing him. Shelton subtly sold his annoyance, but celebrated anyway. They won the titles after all. And what a way to end 2020 for the Hurt Business. From MVP just being a cameo return in the Royal Rumble to doing some of the best work in his career. His faction is now draped in gold. But the most newsworthy happening, whether we like it or not, was the return of Charlotte Flair. The Queen walked out as Asuka's mystery tag partner as all babyface hugs and smiles, and then proceeded to have the entire match designed around her. From the camera work, cutting to Ric Flair watching on backstage, her showdowns with Nia Jax, because that's a feud only WWE want to see happen, and eventually beating Shayna Baszler. I'm not into that. I found the whole return and match utterly deflating. But that's not to say WWE shouldn't have done it. They need stars right now. With someone as big as Flair, they should make her the absolute focus when she comes back. I get it. What I do really have a problem with, though, is what was the point of the last 3 months of Lana being put through tables? Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, however, was absolutely brilliant. Hot off being beaten down loads on Friday night, KO jumped Reigns during his entrance and then, in some smart, badass babyface booking, took out Jey Uso by Pillmanizing his ankle. What followed was a thrilling back and forth of Roman punishing Owens, then KO getting back on top, but just being stopped by a now recovered Jey. There were loads of weapon spots, including a brutal one of Roman throwing KO's back onto an upturned edge of a ladder, and acting, with Reigns laughing at Owens' attempts to stop him climbing his ladder, and KO admitting, "You're going to have to kill me." Even with all Roman's dominance though, KO almost had it won, but he was just stopped by Jey for Reigns to low blow him and guillotine him on top of the ladder to retain. It was bloody brilliant. Surely nothing can sour my opinion of this actually very fun and newsworthy pay-per-view now. Souring of my opinion segue. The actual main event, like Survivor Series, was a rather clunky affair. Randy Orton versus The Fiend in a Firefly Inferno match, which was just really a normal Inferno match that had been pre-taped to fit in a load of wacky, goofy spots. After a few minutes, the ringside portion of the Thunderdome burst into flames, allowing for The Fiend to set a variety of different objects alight, like a leather strap, a pickaxe, and his old Bray Wyatt rocking chair, which proved that even if something is thematic, it can still be lame. The Fiend sat Randy on the chair, lit a trail of gasoline leading to it for Orton to just escape in time. Which I can just about explain to someone if they walked in on me watching this, but I have no answer to why Randy wrestled a whole Inferno match in an extra flammable hoodie. The match got 10 minutes, which was probably 5 minutes too long, and ended when Orton reversed a mandible claw to set the Fiend's back on fire by the barricade. It actually provided an awesome visual, especially when Bray then ran into the ring while still on fire to get RKO'd. It looked incredibly cool, and major props to Wyatt for doing the spot. But WWE just couldn't help themselves. They also had to kill The Fiend. Upon winning the match, Randy heard those voices in his head, so he covered The Fiend in gasoline, lit a match, had the camera cut away so they could replace Bray with a very obvious mannequin, and then burned the puppet while we all had to pretend it was real. Braun Strowman was suspended last month for headbutting Adam Pearce. Randy Orton just killed a guy. What does that get him? It doesn't matter. They'll probably just come up with some new rule where if you don't murder anyone else for a year and a half, they'll strike it from your record. What did you think of The Fiend versus Randy Orton? Do you think The Fiend will just be back on Raw tonight like normal? And what did you think about the show overall? Let me know in the comments and vote in our poll on a poll match by following us on Twitter at WrestleTalk_TV, where 47% of you thought it was good, with an amazing 40% thinking it was excellent. And I agree. While the Fiend vs Orton stuff wasn't for me, and Flair's return was underwhelming and, well, kind of depressing, the rest of the show was both terrific and newsworthy. A failed cash-in, a Raw tag title change, and great matches. TLC 2020 is 4 out of 4. And most importantly, I predicted every match right, and my combined 8 table spots, 8, meant I became the first person ever to successfully retain that championship. I defeated El Fagador, controversy-free. Meaning I'll go into 2021 as your champion, Laurie. That's right, it's gonna be one hell of a year, which begins with our first ever Royal Jamble match in January to decide the championship #1 contender for WrestleJamia. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news. What are 10 wrestlers who tried to injure their opponents? Click the video on the right for Adam Blompier's latest list. And remember 20 famous wrestlers who passed away in 2020 by clicking the video below that. I've been Mr. Davis. Jam that jerk.